Hey, everybody, it's Dale Jr. This is the Ask Junior portion of the show from our Dirty Mo Media YouTube channel. Thanks for everybody for tuning in and sending in questions for us to be able to get this segment going. Thanks to Xfinity for being a sponsor of the Ask Junior segment and supporting our podcast. Great company, been supportive of NASCAR for years. We're loving to have them. We're glad to have them. Leah, you got the questions ready. Let's get started.
I do. We're going to stay on theme on track kerfluffles, as our friend Higgy says. He wants to know if you are a fan of immediate discussion after the race, like Chase and Logano, or letting the dust settle and discussing it later, or does it depend on the situation?
You know, it depends on the situation, where the other driver's at, whether you can get to him, whether he can get to you. Just what's happening around in the moment. I think you just kind of work off instinct at that time of how you want to handle that situation. If you're angry and you want to get something done about it right then, you feel like that's the only way you're kind of going to be able to release that energy, you go handle it. If you feel like, man, this might be a mistake, I need to go take a break, I need to go talk to somebody who can clear my head, you go do that. So, I've kind of handled things differently many different times, and sometimes you don't even get that choice. You kind of end up in front of the media before you ever get to make any choice one way or another, and that conversation with the media can dictate which way you go, because maybe you say something in the media, you blow off some steam, you say something angry, and there's your point. You've made your point that way, and then you walk away. It just depends on what's really happening in the environment.
Our next question coming from Jake Wilson. How do you think the racing will be at Atlanta given the surface and the heat the drivers will be racing in, as opposed to racing there in March when it's cooler?
The one thing that I think is important to remember with Atlanta is the track being so abrasive. It's going to eat up that first set of tires, probably that second set of tires as well. NASCAR is probably going to have certainly one controlled caution, possibly two competition yellows in that first 50 to 60 laps to make sure that nobody has any tire issues, because I promise you, man, as green and abrasive as that racetrack is, there's no way Goodyear could make a tire strong enough, for anybody for that matter, to be able to take those cars going around there for more than 20 or 30 laps before they're going to have to come to pit road and get more tires. And so it's a real safe play for NASCAR to do that competition yellow. We don't have any track time. There's no rubber down. They have to do this. There's no question. So that's going to be the thing that I pay attention pretty much in most of these races. Even at some of the other tracks that's not quite as abrasive, that first set of tires is just going to get destroyed. And no place does that more than Atlanta, Darlington. Atlanta's going to be pretty wild. They'll be hanging on. They're going to be sliding all over the place. Around lap 10, lap 15, they probably won't work harder at any point in the race than they will right then in that moment. So if you're a fan like me watching the race, tune in to what you're seeing. Really pay attention to the drivers and how they're steering the car, what they're doing with the car, the choices they're making at lap 15 to 20, because that's when they're really going to be earning their paychecks.
M writes in and she asks, is there anything in your life that you were hesitant to do at first but ended up enjoying?
Not everything, probably.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, Mike knows me pretty well. I'm super shy. I don't like to get out in front of anybody. I don't like to do things in front of crowds. Probably, I've had some really cool opportunities to be a part of some of the award shows, go on some late night shows, meet a lot of celebrities and mingle in those circles, go to football games, boxing matches, things like that. And I really honestly have to push myself into those environments. I just don't feel comfortable doing it. I'd rather sit at home and watch it from afar. I don't like being the center of attention in those situations. I feel like a fish out of water, like I don't belong. And I feel like that, I just never saw myself having so much celebrity or fame. And also I was in a sport that was so regional to me when I was young. And to be invited to these areas sort of outside of that bubble, that NASCAR bubble, just seemed so strange to me. I just had never seen NASCAR in some of these spaces, working and living in some of these spaces and of entertainment. And so it was I didn't want to be the first guy, It's like walking into a room or walking into a party, you want your buddy to go in first. So that was kind of, I think, I've lived my whole life sort of that way. And, I still have that in me, even today, we get some requests that are just really intimidating, and I have to literally I call Mike, or I go sit down with Mike, Tony, you, Leah, and we talk about why it's going to be a good experience, why I need to do this, why I should do this. And so a lot of times I'll go into those experiences, and let's take, for example, maybe introducing a band at the MTV Music Awards decades ago. I go into those terrified, and I come out of them exhilarated, thrilled. It is the greatest experience. I've never came out of an experience like that and got what I expected, which is a good thing. I always walked away really blown away and glad I did it, and glad I was talked into doing it. Glad I pushed myself to listen.
Next question from Justin Williford. Do you have a favorite non-sports video game?
Well, I don't know if I have a favorite, but here lately I've been playing some Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC, a little bit of Call of Duty, a little bit of DayZ, just trying to get I like first-person shooters. I've always played Tom Clancy, Rainbow Six, things like that years ago. Some of my favorite games, original Rainbow Six. So, I still get into that stuff from time to time. And, still, it's a nice little change of pace from iRacing all the time. I race all the time, so it's nice to do something a little different every once in a while.
I had my Wii in a box from, years and years ago. And when we went into quarantine, I busted it back out. So we've been bowling and golfing and tennis, all that stuff. So that's been fun.
Me and Amy bought an old original Nintendo with a lot of games about a couple years ago. And we were so psyched. She got on there and could play Mario Brother like she'd never put it down. She just started and just went right through the first stage like she'd just been playing it, right? I was amazed. I was like, wow, you remember everything you had to do. Because it's all time, there's all. Yeah. So, but I was excited about Double Dribble and Excite Bike. Those were my two favorites from the original Nintendo, and Days of Thunder. And they looked a lot worse than I imagined.
Hey, that's right. I've done the same.
So surprised about how bad the graphics were. We are so spoiled by today's technology standards.
There's one Nintendo game that didn't let me down years after, and that was it was Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. It still was good, but all the other ones, like, Ivan Iron Man Stewart's off-road racing, stuff, wear that game out, and it's just like, really? It only has like. I
can't believe I really spent this much time on this. Yeah, right.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Totally.
Double Dribble was awesome.
Dribble. Remember Blades of Steel?
Blades of Steel, Excite Bike. Remember building tracks in Excite Bike, making your jumps?
Kung Fu.
Yeah, I remember Duck Hunt. That was my favorite. That's my favorite.
Came with this console.
Yep.
Mario and Duck Hunt.
Yep. All right, guys, that's it for today.
Wait, I got a question. I got to ask you the question. Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch in the booth.
Oh.
Hold on. Sorry. Go ahead.
Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch in the booth.
Awesome.
Ain't that the truth?
Yep.
It was fun.
And the reason why, now listen, let me take that back. My opinion as to why I enjoyed them was because that was probably the most genuine that I had ever seen them both.
Yes.
I've been around them both. I've been around them when they've been genuine. We had both of them on our show. They do incredible jobs in those scenarios. But them together, you could really see the human sort of
brotherly
sort of, this vibe.
The dynamic was there. It's like, Kyle would say, he's got both front tires flat, and he goes,
where Where else are you going to be able to see somebody poke on Kyle and him not blow up? Because he can't blow up at Kurt. Because half the thing's saying, probably more than half.
Well,
Kurt's right.
He can't blow up on Kurt in the booth. I mean, like,
I'm just saying.
It was the perfect scenario.
Kurt keeps Kyle honest, and Kyle keeps Kurt honest. And I really enjoyed that about it. Yeah. And honestly, both of them were really good. Great, good commentary.
Kurt is a good speaker. I never would have given him credit for that. But, when he came on our show, he was a good communicator, and he brought that into the booth as well. And him and Kai, I agree. The dynamic was entertaining itself. It was incredible.
I love seeing the Xfinity – I love seeing the Cup guys in the Xfinity booth. I really do, because we want so much to see their personalities. And in the booth, they can't really control the whole narrative. Where with their social media and so forth, they get to choose really what we get to see of their lives, and we take everything we can get. But in the booth, they're kind of thrown into a live situation, and it's fun to watch them think on their feet. And we tend to really get to see them get comfortable, and the real individual really comes to the surface. Good stuff.
All right, Leah, I have no further questions.
Good questions, Mike. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for Ask Junior. Thanks to Xfinity for sponsoring the Ask Junior segment of our show and supporting the Dale Junior Download. Xfinity's been a great partner for us, been an amazing partner for NASCAR. We hope you check them out. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoy the show.